your history that plays a part in your youth sanguineous status of who you are in Amaruka, Ak, also known as Turtle Islands, Maghreb Al-Aqsa, Asku Shamal, Taasar, Land of Osiris, whatever you want to call it, easy but with. It's got a million and one names. You already know that. You know. Okay. The Yusoli aspect comes in under who was the first nation or empire to place a lawfully recognized claim. That would be the Canaanite, Phoenician, Carthaginian, Punic Iberian Empire with the born stone laid in Camassaguncana, Cape Cod Bay, Massachusetts, underneath Hanno, the navigator, 500 AD, approximately, BC, 500 BC approximately, with the stone written in, they said Punic Iberian, which is spin off from Proto-Canaanite, Paleo-Hebrew. A lot of them use the same glyphs. It says a proclamation of annexation. Do not deface with this Hanno takes possession. And that's when he annexed the Americas and Toto to the Carthaginian, Punic Iberian, Phoenician Canaanite Empire in the east. Also making it the first republic because, yes, as I pointed out, as posted on my timeline, Carthage was a republic. So America has been under republic jurisdiction for 2,518 years, just with the born stone. I mean, the republic for the United States of America was not the first one. That's a spinoff. And they tell you that. How do we know it's a spinoff? Because it's in the Federalist Papers, number 10, where they said we want to go back and study these ancient republics. And they tell you exactly which republic they chose to go with. Why? Because what is the symbol of Carthage? The elephant, right?
Yeah.
What's the second party? The elephant. So they put it in your face, but these are Masonic symbols and codes that if you don't recognize them, you know, you won't see it for what it is.
Yeah.
So they already know who you are. They know majority of the tribes. You know, if you read the letters and papers of Thomas Jefferson in July 1788, they talk about the Creeks, the Muskogee, you know, coming from a surveying team that was lost over here during the Pericles on Hannibal. Not Hannibal, but Hanno, you know. And basically he was surveying the land, surveying the coastlines and surveying the land inward. And not only that, in that same book, and I can thank Sister Crystal Douglas Day for this. Give her a shout out on here. She's been doing basically a lot of. She takes my videos and takes notes, and then she goes and does her research on what I teach. There's another part in that book where it said, "Hey man, that the languages." And the guy was saying the people in Africa, he called the people in Africa red men. That's what he called them. He called them red men. It's a fact in this section of the book. He said the red men of America and the red men of Africa are basically virtually identical people. He said that in the book. He said, and there's a plethora of languages. There's a plethora of languages over here and a plethora of languages over there. He said, now we need to tell who came from who. Did they come from quote unquote Africa, or did the Africans come from quote unquote America? He said, because it seems like the languages are more diverse over here. Well, I think as far as us coming from Africa, I think that this is what I think. I think that a lot of us left from here migrated over there, but the languages were brought back to us over here. And the reason being is because a lot of the ancient writings and the evidence of the various languages are older over there. But as far as the people and whatnot, the mounds and things of that nature, you know, pyramids and things, they're old over here. So I think what happened was around about 12,000 BC, 12,000 years ago, not BC, excuse me, 12,000 years ago, science has already shown that there was an asteroid, a comet, that hit in the South Carolina area. And what happened was it caused so much problems, man, that it radiated the soil with iridium. And it created what they call a dryad, almost like a small, what do they call that? Ice age, mini ice age period. And large swaths of the Americas, of North America, became uninhabitable. So we had to leave. Now, if you know about 12,000 years ago, that's when they say that Atlantis sank around about 10,000 BC.
Yeah.
And that what they tell you? Well, 12,000 years ago would be approximately close to 10,000 BC, around about the time they say Atlantis sunk. So a lot of us had to leave. We've gone back down to Mexico and South America, and we have gone over to Africa. We've gone over to Africa, taking ships and whatnot, and a lot of those areas are recently settled. Now, here's the funny part about it.
Hey, if you're
of the Yoruba people and area in Nigeria, some of them, man, look like us. Some of them look like pictures of what they call, quote unquote, the Indian, with long, keen, pointed noses and things of that nature. And not only that, there's a book, I can't remember the author's name. I think the title of the book is Africa, the Discovery of America. It's in my OneDrive. It's in the historical reading and other documents folder. But I can't remember the author's name, but he's talking about that how the bronze casting that the Benin and the Yoruba have, it wasn't developed there. It was brought there. They said, quote unquote, these people had a completely organized city-state government that was just brought up onto the land of now known today as Nigeria, that it did not evolve there. They don't know where it come from. They said these people had high technology. And they said that it looked like as if they came across the ocean from the west, which would be Atlantis. So, there's also a lot of lore talking about, people leaving the Americas and going over there. And then the funny part about it is, I have a good friend that I communicate with regularly. Her name is Dr. Fatu Dara. She's a dentist, man. And she's half American Aborigine Moor. And she's half Ghanaian, her father's Ghanaian. And she's been bringing forth dentology records, on various teeth. Well, the Igbo people have a very high percentage of what they call shovel teeth. Their sizes are shovel shaped, and it's very high amongst them. And you find that normally amongst the Native American, quote unquote, Mongoloid stock over here that's on the reservation that they call the Indians. Of course they've been homogenized out, bleached out now, but a lot of those people were darker than me, or even darker, just with Mongoloid features. But they have what's called shovel teeth, and they find that amongst the Igbo, whereas they're like the only, one of the only groups of quote unquote Africans that have that dental trait, but it runs high in the Mongoloid stock of what they call the Indian over here from South America to North America and Siberia, places like that. So, that lets you know that people migrate. People migrate. Various people have left the Americas and gone to populate other places. But all of this, back to the focal point, all of this is a part of your Usanguineous history of who you are in the Americas. And the Uso-Lee history deals with the empire claim. Of course, Kemet, what they call Hekupta, was already over here. What they call Tameri, Tapsati, which is now known today as, Sudan, or what they call back in the day, Upper Hekupta, Tanesi, Ethiopia. Those people were already over here. They was colonizing over here long ago, thousands of years ago. But the claim was done by Hanno. I mean, prior to him, people came over, they built on the land, left landmarks, they did all types of things. How do we know this? Because we have a lot of archaeological artifacts that have Metanetia writing on it. They have Phoenician writing on it. They have, ancient Libyan script, But the actual claim where somebody says, this is mine. I own this. I'm claiming this. I'm taking possession of this. That was handled.
Okay.
So, because when I was in Dominican Republic, going through the mystery systems down there, I learned from a child by the name of Catherine, who was coming home fresh from school, and she told me, she said, "You want to know what I learned at school today?" I said, "What's that, Catherine?" She said, "Well, my teacher told me Moors are the original people of the Americas, and that they own the land."
Wow.
And my mouth fell on the ground. Now, I wasn't even down there looking for no Moorish history. I was down there getting initiated, okay?
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
So, and when she told me, she had this look on her face. Now that when I think back and look at it, it was a look of, do you know who you are? She had this look on her face as if to ask me verbally, do I know who I am? Of course, at that time, I'm under the teachings and studies of my great grandmother, which what I was raised with in the house. You know what I'm saying? We not black. We're not from Africa. What they call black Indian. Mama, great grandmama, Eliza Gibson, Apache. This is who we are. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all my life I've been, identifying as black Indian in my tribe. You see what I'm saying? But I didn't come into the Moorish knowledge until like around about the late 90s, going into the 2000s. But I never equated that until I heard Todd around about 2005, and then it was confirmed when I was about well over 1,000 miles away out the country by that child, by that young girl. That's when I came back and actually done some due diligence. I mean, yeah, you hear it over here, but when you go somewhere else, another land, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In America, and you hear it from a child who's getting taught this in school, it has a different effect.
Wow. Yeah.
Totally different effect. Because that's a child.
Yeah.
She was only like 12 years old, 12 going on 13 years old. So what need would she have? What agenda would she have to tell me this? 1,000+ miles away. Yeah. So, back to Donald Trump and everything that I said.
Before you hit on Trump, man.
Trump, being if he is a Mason, and even if he's not a Mason, I'm throw that in. He's briefed on these things. He's briefed on everything that's going on in the common population of the people. So he knows about the movement. He's been made aware of the history. And if he's a Mason, he has a deeper understanding of it. So he knows the 14th Amendment. He knows the political subterfuge surrounding the 14th Amendment. He's not going to put it out there and just say it was not ratified. He can't do that. For him to do that, he will upset banking. And we'll go into that as well. But he's basically saying, guess what? You don't need it. Well, those who were listening to my live, what was that, Wednesday night? If you go into the OneDrive, as a matter of fact, you got access right there. Let's pull it up and talk about it. Go to my website real quick.
All right.
And I'm gonna guide you to the PDF.
Okay.
When you get on the home page, scroll down to Project Wamco, Weapons of Mass Color Law Destruction.
Okay, which document?
Click under link 3, Citizenship Question Doc. Okay.
All right, I'm there.
And it says, look for a PDF that says Peer Study. 14th Amendment.
Okay.
Yeah, peer study.
Okay, I have it.
Now that you have that up, you see the Georgia State Archives document.
Yeah, I have it right now in front of me.
Okay, you have the Library of Congress document, which was 1967. They read it into the record about the fraud of the 14th Amendment. Okay, after that set of pages of that document, Then you have the Georgia State Archives document, which talks about the fraud of the 14th Amendment. And Georgia wasn't the only one that put that into their state record. Louisiana did it too. Okay. Now, if you go past that, you will see Constitutional Law, reprinted from Case Law, Volume 6.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now. Yeah.
Okay. Scroll down. Scroll past the page to where you see page 117. It's actually subsection 117, but they have it written in the book like it's page 117.